Hey folks, this is Pete, and we're doing Pete's Eats cooking videos today, and I have a real treat for you today. I mean a real treat. We're gonna make caramel popcorn, or as in our family we like to call it popcorn with guck. And this recipe goes way back. It goes way back to the prairies out west many years ago. It's a simple recipe with only 6 ingredients. 6 ingredients and a couple safety features. We'll get started in a second, okay? So let's begin. Okay, so this is what you're going to need to make the popcorn, caramel popcorn. First of all, the popcorn itself. You're going to need sunflower oil, a nice light oil. You could use corn oil. I like sunflower oil because it doesn't add a lot of taste. Then some salt, of course, and some popcorn, some popping corn. I buy the economy popping corn. You can buy the high-end popping corn if you want. I found no difference. Give it a try. Let me know if you think it does make a difference. Of course, for the caramel now, you're going to need the other 3 ingredients, which is the sugar, the dark sugar, butter, and milk. With respect to the brown sugar, you can either use a dark brown sugar, a golden sugar. You probably use regular sugar if you had to, and it would work just as well. Now, in terms of the pots, you need a pot with a nice tight-fitting lid to pop the popcorn in. This is a nice one because it's got the see-through top. And you need a really thick bottom pot to make the caramel in. Something thick because it can burn. You do have to watch it with the wooden spoon that you're stirring. We'll show you how to do that right now. I'm going to make the popcorn now, and I just want to point out that I'm going to use the smaller burner on the stove to make the popcorn, not the larger burner. This will help with reducing the likelihood of burning the popcorn. You'll see that in the pot I've put almost a double layer of popcorn at the bottom of the pot. Maybe I would say 1.5, 1 3/4 sort of depth of popcorn at the bottom of the pot. You definitely don't want to put too much popcorn. And now I'm going to add the oil. I'm going to add the oil so that it almost covers the corn kernels. So let's see. That's probably about enough. All of the corn kernels will have some oil. I'm also going to now turn the stove on. With the gas stove, I'm going to put it on kind of 3/4 heat. If it was an electric stove, I'd have it on a high heat, big time high. There you go. I've got that on kind of like a 3/4 high heat. And now I'm going to add the salt. I actually add the salt right now, not at the end. And I put quite a bit of salt. Don't worry, because I'm going to take the popcorn out of here, and the excess salt will just stay at the bottom of the pot. So there you go. We've got the salt, we've got the oil, and we've got the kernels. The oil is starting to boil now, so I'm gonna have to keep it moving. You know what? I think I put a little bit too much oil in this, but that's okay. It's not gonna deter, it's just gonna add a little bit of taste. But if you're calorie conscious, I think you could cut down a little bit on that oil. So I have to keep an eye out, and I also have to keep the lid handy because I'm gonna have to put that lid on as soon as she starts popping. Okay, it's been about 3 or 4 minutes. You can see one little one just popped a bit there. I'm gonna wait for a good one to pop. Maybe 5 minutes, I don't know. They're gonna start popping soon. If you stop shaking it. Oh, there you go, there's one. Another one. Okay, I better put that lid on. There you go. You see that lid's got a vent hole there too. That kind of helps. Okay, but keep shaking it. You don't want the popcorn to burn. Okay, so the popcorn is actually completely full now. I'm going to leave that burner on, and I'm going to have to pour some of that popcorn into the bowl. Take a second here. It's blowing the top right off the popper. I'm going to pour this carefully. I'm being careful not to burn myself here. I'm going to put some of that popcorn right in the bowl. I have to put a little bit in by hand. Be careful because there's steam, of course, coming off. That's what makes the popcorn pop. Okay, that should do. Now you got to keep an eye out here, guys. You want to give it a bit of a shake like that. You don't want the ones that haven't popped to go into the bowl. You definitely do not want those ones that haven't popped to go into the bowl because they'll get stuck in the caramel and they'll cause a problem. Those ones that haven't popped, in the old days they used to call them old maids, the ones that didn't pop. So that's a little bit of cooking trivia for you. I put it back on. I'm gonna just see if I can get a couple more of those kernels to pop. And I'm gonna be very careful here because I really don't want to burn the popcorn. It gives it a really nasty taste. Okay, I've taken it off the heat now. Tried to make sure none of it was burned. Keep it moving because the bottom of this pot is really hot. And from the smell I can tell, no, we're okay. We're gonna get 2 nice big bowls of popcorn out of this one pot, so that's great. Okay, so you can see here's the pot with all the excess salt that's been left behind, and a bunch of those kernels that haven't popped. You want to definitely leave those out. You don't want to be chomping down on that in the caramel. So we're good to go now to make the caramel. If you're running short on time, just melt some butter and away you go. You got beautiful popcorn with butter. Fabulous, better than any movie popcorn. Now for the caramel, I'm going to use about 2 cups. Of course, it depends on how much of this caramel you want to make. About 2 good cups, a little bit more. About 2 good cups of brown sugar, and about 3/4 of a cup of butter. So that's a good 3/4 of a cup of butter, and about, I don't know, let's see, probably about a 1/2 cup or so, maybe 3/4 of a cup of milk. And so you can play with those proportions, and away we go. Now I'm going to turn the stove on, and once again I want it really quite high. So on a gas stove I'm going to put it up 3/4 heat, and I'm going to keep an eye on this with a wooden spoon and keep it stirring. Now once again I have my heavy duty oven mitts all ready off to the side here. This is going to take a while. You have to let this boil up good and make sure it doesn't burn, but it does have to boil up really, really well. I'm going to show you a trick as well in terms of how to make sure that this this turns out nicely. So the butter is starting to melt, and we'll let that boil right up. So I'm just going to keep stirring this. It's boiling really nicely now. Again, be very careful. This is really hot. Don't let it splash up on your hand. If you're nervous about it, wear the glove while you're stirring it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the caramel on a fork, and I'm going to drop the drops off the fork into the water. Okay, so those drops did not stay in droplet form. I want it to solidify as soon as it hits the water, and you got a perfect drop. Once that happens, we're ready to go. So let's do another test now. I'm going to drop those in when I get a little bit of caramel here. And you can see it's almost forming a ball, but not quite perfect. So this is really getting thick now. You're really getting thick and goopy, so you really have to watch it now. It can burn, so you have to keep stirring it. Get ready for your test. She's almost done. Okay, there you go. That just stays perfectly together. We're done. Let's pour it on now. We're going to pour that over the first bowl. That's a good coating of guck. And now let's do the second bowl. My hand is really starting to heat up. I'm going to have to put this down. Let's not be afraid to put it down. You put it down, and away you go. Now you don't want to touch this. You want to give it a minute to cool down, no matter how eager you are. Give it a minute to cool down before you eat it. Here's a huge tip for you. As soon as you're done, get that pot full of water and let it soak. Cleanup will be just a second. Otherwise, it's going to be a heck of a mess. So here we are. Here's caramel popcorn, or popcorn with guck. If you've got a sports show that's coming up, or an award show, this is what you want to make for your family. You don't want to make it every day, but trust me, they'll be asking for it every day. Enjoy!